Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but we also discuss how we're going to fix it together. The content that I've got for you this morning is breaking news. This is from an open letter from the ATF. They have decided to reclassify 80% lowers as firearms to be serialized underneath the 1968 Gun Control Act. This changes everything. This is massive, unprecedented, infringements galore, and completely based on a redefinition. Everything that I'm about to show you is linked in the description box below. Please send this video out, like this video, subscribe to the channel so we can do this and fix this together, because this is a big deal. Now, the content is brought to you by Excess Sights. They've got a unique sight pusher tool that they just showed me, they sent to me. I got a few things to say, and then we're going to hit it. Now, Excess Sights is known for making the fastest sights in any light. For more than 25 years, the Excess team has created the finest sights in pistols, rifles, and shotguns. Whether used for personal defense or hunting, these sights are designed and built to be the absolute best for their specific purpose. Excess Sights has also offered you a 10% coupon for being a viewer of this channel for the rest of the week. Use code XSSights10 in the link in the description box below for your discount. And thank you to Excess Sights for making this content possible. But my brothers and sisters, we have got to hit this. If you want a full copy of this letter, I have it on my website, secondpress.co. It's also linked in the description, along with a video that I'm about to reference. Everything is down there. But let's get it and send this out, because this is a big deal. Now, keep in mind, 2 to 3 days ago, I did a video that is down there linked. It was basically titled, "The FPC Lawsuit Goes After the Jugular for the Ghost Gun Rule," or the redefinition rule. They asked for the judge to vacate and, what was the exact phrase? Vacate and enjoin the entire rule. That was about 2 to 3 days ago. Well, the ATF has struck back and they've redefined everything. I'm going to read the entire letter, and then I'm going to show you the points that change literally everything from our world right now. ATF issues open letter to FFLs to clarify application of frame or receiver finer rule on certain semi-automatic pistol frames. Washington. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives issued an open letter today to all federal firearm licensees regarding the application of Final Rule 2021-05F, definition of frame and receiver, and identification of firearms on partially complete Polymer 80, Lone Wolf, and similar semi-automatic pistol frames. Similar, that's important. In April 2022, the Department of Justice announced a new frame or receiver rule, Final Rule, which modernizes the definition of a firearm. Modernizes. The final rule, which went into effect in August of 2022, clarifies that part kits that are readily convertible to firearms are subject to the same regulations as firearms made by a federal firearm licensee manufacturer. Okay, that we already know about. This next part is where it starts. Today's open letter clarifies to the firearm industry and the public how the August 2022 final rule addresses partially complete, disassembled, or non-functional semi-automatic striker-fired pistol frames or parts kits manufactured, sold, or distributed by Polymer 80, Lone Wolf, and others. Partially complete Polymer 80, Lone Wolf, and similar striker-fired semi-automatic pistol frames, including, but not limited to, those sold within the parts kits, are regulated by the Gun Control Act because they have reached a stage of manufacture where they may readily be completed, assembled, restored, or otherwise converted to a functional frame. Again, I'm going to come back to each of these in a second. This definition of readily applies to each classification of a partially complete frame or receiver under this rule, whether sold alone or as part of a kit. Therefore, even without any associated templates, jigs, molds, equipment, tools, instructions, guides, or marketing materials, these partially complete pistol frames are frames and firearms as defined in the GCA, Gun Control Act, and its implementing regulations. Today's open letter is another important step in the implementation of the crucial public safety rule regarding privately made firearms, or ghost guns, said ATF Director Stephen Dettelbach. The partially completed pistol frames described in this open letter are readily convertible to functioning firearms under the Gun Control Act. Ghost guns can kill like other firearms if they are in the hands of in the wrong hands. So they are treated as firearms under the law. This means that they must have serial numbers so that the law enforcement can trace if they are used in crimes like other guns, and also that those engaged in the business of selling them must be licensed dealers and run background checks. They just made every single thing a firearm, which means it has to have a serial number, which means it can't go in a parts kit, and goes and flies in the face of existing arguments the ATF has made in cases like the tactical machining case in Texas. This is big, and I'm about to break this down a little bit further. If anyone remains unclear about the specific model or configuration, they may submit a request with a sample to the ATF, who can only render a formal designation upon receipt and formal request and physical blah, 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 blah. Basically, ask for permission, we're going to tell you an answer, then we're going to change it again because we can do whatever we want. That's what they're going to say. But now I want to hit these 3 points. Actually, 3 points that I've hit here that are highlighted in red. Again, it's all downloadable on thesecondpress.co. Today's open letter clarifies to the firearm industry and the public how the August 2022 final rule addresses partially complete, disassembled, or non-functional semi-automatic striker-fired pistol frames or parts kits manufactured, sold, or distributed by Polymer 80, Lone Wolf, and others. That's important. Partially complete Polymer 80, Lone Wolf, and similar striker-fired semi-automatic pistol frames, including but not limited to those sold within the parts kits, are regulated under the Gun Control Act because they have reached a stage of manufacture where they may readily be completed, assembled, restored, or otherwise converted to a functional frame. So that says 80% is now up to the point where they can be manufactured into a firearm, therefore they are firearms. That's what they're saying right there. Whether it's in a parts kit or not in a parts kit, it doesn't matter. It's a firearm now. So anything that you were trying to do from a standpoint of making your own, something that you weren't going to sell, you can't do that anymore. Because now it's got to be serialized and sold through a federal firearm licensee. Let's keep going. Check this out. This definition of readily applies to each classification of a partially complete frame or receiver under this rule, whether sold alone or as part of a kit. Therefore, this part is massive. Therefore, even without any associated templates, jigs, molds, equipment, tools, instructions, guides, or marketing materials, these partially complete pistol frames are frames and firearms as defined in the GCA and its implementing regulations. The reason that that's so important is because the FPC request to vacate and enjoin the entire rule was based around First Amendment infringements because it wouldn't allow you to put marketing materials or speech inside these kits. And that's what was being regulated. So now the ATF strikes back and gets in front of this and says, well, they're just all firearms now according to the Gun Control Act, even though Congress did not authorize that at all. This is all based on Chevron Deference coming from the ATF operating outside the confines of congressional authority. This is where Jim Jordan was sending letters to the ATF regarding this. Anyway, got one more for you. Today's open letter is another important step in implementing the crucial public safety rule regarding privately made firearms or ghost guns, said ATF Director Stephen Dettelbach. The partially completed pistol frames described in this open letter are readily convertible to functioning firearms under the Gun Control Act. Ghost guns can kill like other firearms if they are in the wrong hands, so they are treated as firearms under the law. This means they must have serial numbers so that law enforcement can trace if they are used in crimes like other guns, and also that those engaged in the business of selling them must be licensed dealers and run background checks. They just closed any type of argument that they already previously argued in the state of Texas in the federal court system by going back on what they said previously. What they said previously was as long as it didn't have the jig or the instructions, it wasn't considered a firearm. Well, now they're saying because it can be readily convertible and manufactured to a point of conversion, it's now a firearm. Notice how they didn't say a percentage. They just said readily convertible, keeping it as vague as possible. This is obviously breaking news. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.